Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. We are going to jump straight into part 2 of our hip opening pranayama yoga practice. And we're going to begin our second part of the practice today with some stretches. We're going to kind of ease ourselves into a straddle hold. It's the beginning stretch for a side split. So again, we're really going to put focus on comfort and ease. You should be able to hold every stretch for around 2 minutes with no pain. If at any point you feel any pain or any kind of discomfort, bring yourself back gradually and softly so that you're not feeling any pain. Overexerting yourself is only going to make you not enjoy the practice and not come back and do more. In order for you to actually see progress, we want to ease into each stretch. So we're going to really take our time with the straddle hold. So this kind of stretch is typically done actually backed up against a wall. So if you feel that you can't really hold this too well, or that you're struggling to balance your body, then by all means, just take your mat a little bit back and use the wall as a safeguard. But for those of you who are wanting to challenge yourself a little bit more, or just kind of test your abilities, use your mat and just really ease into it nice and softly. This is a great stretch if you're wanting to gain a little bit more flexibility in your hips and just generally more control over that groin area. This is great because the focus is on the hips and the groins. And it's one of those stretches that you immediately notice the difference. And if you breathe into it very calmly, you'll notice that bit by bit, every few minutes, your hips will naturally open into that stretch. So it's amazing for that. It will help you achieve a side split, a normal split, and just help you gain a lot of range of movement in your hip area overall. So just a reminder, you do not have to do it as long as I am doing it. I just really like getting into these stretches. All you need is around 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes to really kind of get into it. There are many variations to the straddle pose, but if you guys want to take it one step further, we can do the wide straddle forward bend, which is an inverted version. So we bring our head kind of below our heart and we reach our head towards the ground as far as we can go, again without kind of overexerting ourselves. We're going to use our hands to hold onto our ankles, and we're going to center our energy and focus on opening our hips and maintaining as much control over those groins as possible. You can also take this one step further by holding onto your big toe. Those of you who are comfortable with holding your ankles, then by all means just do that. Remember to check in with yourself as and when you need throughout the practice. Take some time to come back into a seated position and take some deep, long and conscious breaths just to gain a little bit of energy, or allow yourself to take some short breaks or rests throughout your practice, just as you would take a 2 to 3 minute rest, kind of, if you're at the gym or having a workout. This is an awesome way to just regain your energy and balance again. So one of the next awesome hip opening stretches are lunges, and we're just going to do some flat toe lunges, which means our toes are facing downwards. And we're going to be extending from a 90-degree lunge to a warrior pose, where our arms are extending above our heads and reaching up towards the sky. When we are doing this, we kind of want to just gently shift the pressure in our hips back and forward, just to really get deep into those hip flexors and offer as much opening and flexibility as possible. And we're going to be doing this about 3 times on each side, and again just allowing ourselves around 2 to 2.5 minutes on each side. Another beautiful variation to this is to move from a warrior pose, which is what we're doing now with our arms, moving our arms downwards into a half split. Some of us will be able to kind of reach our head all the way down to our knees, and others of us, kind of need a little bit more time to open. It's an amazing stretch if you also want to achieve the splits or the side split. It's a great hamstring stretch, as well as kind of allowing us to get quite deep into our hip flexors. After those lovely lunges, we are going to ease ourselves into one of my all-time favorite poses, and that is the pigeon pose. This is amazing for the hip flexors, particularly for people who find it quite challenging, who have any stiffness in the hips, who have very little mobility in the hips, or people with lower back pain. This is really, really good pose for any of those sorts of issues. You'll definitely notice the difference after doing this just a couple of times, and like I said, just for a couple of minutes at a time. This is one of the most opening poses there is when done correctly. So we are going to really sit with pigeon pose for a little while. And if this isn't challenging for you, then I invite you to kind of use some of the variations that there are. Another great variation is that you can kind of go into a quad stretch. This isn't going to be kind of ideal for beginners. You may not feel like you can do this, but you can just start by slowly kind of bringing your leg up and seeing kind of how far that you can go. If you feel that you can do this, I invite you to follow along. It's a great stretch for your quads. It's also an awesome introduction to the king pigeon pose, which I cannot do yet, but that's fine. This is how we kind of train to get into those more complex and advanced yoga stretches. So come along with me, guys, and see if you can get yourself into a nice little quad stretch. After you've really got into the pigeon pose and the quad stretch, we're going to downward dog into the other side. As with every stretch, you're probably going to do one side of your body is most likely going to be a lot looser, freer, and easier to get into than the other. Don't beat yourself up about this. It's the same for everybody. There's always one side that's easier to flex than the other. So work with it. Do not strain yourself into any pose. Ease yourself into the stretch. my hips have personally been quite tight from the gym, but ideally what you want to do is ground your hips down to the floor or to your mat as much as possible. The higher they are, the kind of more tense the stretch is going to be. So yeah, try to focus all of your energy on your hips and kind of grounding them down to the floor as much as you can. You're gonna see me check in with my body every so often after a few stretches and really focus on breathing. This is such an important part of yoga, bringing that conscious awareness into our body through the breath and inviting the breath so that we can call in more ease and comfort through each stretch. For our next stretch or our next pose, we're going to just come into a seated position with our feet lying flat on the floor, our back straight, and our knees close to our heart. This is going to be a transition before we go into another deep kind of hip opening stretch where our backs will be kind of, lie down on the floor. So we're just going to sit here for as long as it feels comfortable and move into another hip stretch. Okay guys, our last active hip opening stretch is going to be a very yummy one, perfect one to close out the practice. We're going to do a figure 4 stretch, which is amazing for anybody who suffers with sciatica pain or again lower back issues, tight lower back muscles, just overall any kind of hip mobility issues. This is fantastic for that. We want to be lying very, very straight on our mat. Our hips should be kind of in proportion to our backs, again very flat on the mat. We're going to bring both of our legs up ever so slightly towards the heart and hold one of our legs, in this case the left, hold the hamstrings with your left hand and bring the other leg, bend it over our knee. You can either hold your hamstring or you can hold your knee, whatever is kind of more comfortable for you. For me, I just intuitively feel like I want to hold and not hold my leg. So we're going to bring that leg as close to our chest as possible until we really start feeling that deep stretch. If that isn't enough for you and you want to take it one step further, then you can stretch out your leg completely and bring that leg as close to your face as possible. But again, you do not have to do this. You can stick to the normal figure 4 pose if it feels stretchy enough. Okay guys, we are going to close out our practice now by coming back into that really nourishing seated position where our knees are bent and up close towards our heart. From then we're going to move into a frog pose where we bring our feet close together, kind of touching as close to our hips as possible, and we're just going to kind of move in and out of that with our knees and try to flatten our knees as much as possible. This is a great way to close out any kind of yoga practice or stretching routine that you have. Again, it's a beautiful kind of hip opening sequence. I sincerely hope that you guys have enjoyed all the stretching and all the movement we have done here together. Please like this video for more, subscribe to my channel as I will be posting these kind of content a lot more. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next one.